And good morning, one and all. We're extremely pleased today to announce the bipartisan, and I think they should hear me all the way to East Meadow when I use the word bipartisan, support for the expansion of Nassau County's panic alarm system. To date, our panic alarm program, which is being administered by the Nassau Police Department, has only been offered to the schools. Now, we are expanding this program to other places where people gather, including religious institutions, malls, movie theaters, and more. It is my pleasure at this point in time to let you know that we have representatives from the school system, from the religious institutions, and of course from the individual legislators who are here with me today. And without any further ado, I'd like to turn the mic over to Legislator Rhodes, primarily because he was one of the principal supporters of this legislation. After Mr. Rhodes speaks, there are several others who will be giving their remarks, and hopefully you'll give them your undivided attention. And now, Legislator Rhodes.
Thank you, Presiding Officer Gonzalez. I apparently have a big mouth. Thank you, Presiding Officer Gonzalez, and my colleagues on the legislature all gathered here, as well as distinguished guests. First off, Madam Presiding Officer, I want to thank you for your leadership and your assistance in this issue. And I want to thank specifically Rabbi Charles Klein from the Merrick Jewish Center, leads the congregation at the Merrick Jewish Center, for really being the inspiration for the extension of the Caper System program. We had a meeting back in January where Rabbi Klein and I discussed security among other topics. He brought to my attention the concerns, really, which are mimicked by what has been happening, unfortunately, in the news. It's interesting to note, and really shocking to note, that since 2012 and the Sandy Hook shooting, that there have actually been, up until the Oregon shooting a few weeks ago, 142 incidents of violence that have taken place in our schools involving guns. The Caper System, and if you only have to look around the world to see that those incidents are occurring not only in the schools, but they're occurring in houses of worship, in churches, and synagogues, places of mass assembly. And it seemed common sense for us to extend the Caper System program not only to schools, but to houses of worship and places of mass assembly. Government has no more important responsibility than to do what we can to try and make the citizens that we represent safe. And I think that the Caper System legislation is an important step for us to be able to try and do that job and protect our citizens. And so I want to thank my fellow legislators for their outstanding support and effort in this. We're looking forward to enjoying that strong bipartisan support when we pass it before the legislature today at our session at 1 o'clock. I want to thank all of you for being here, and I want to thank again Rabbi Klein and the members of the community who've been so supportive in ensuring that this gets through. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator Rhodes. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Rabbi Charles Klein from the Merrick Jewish Center.
Thank you very much. It is hard to believe that from one conversation just a few months ago to this day, this legislation has made its way so quickly through the legislature. And I am so very grateful to Legislator Steve Rhodes and to all the members of the legislature who have come together in this bipartisan way for something that many of us believe is long overdue and very, very, very important to the citizens of Nassau County. When I met with Legislator Rhodes back in January, I said to him that as a rabbi, but I think speaking for all faith communities on Long Island, our greatest concern is, of course, the safety and security of those who gather in our institutions for religious worship, for study, for social and cultural activities. Particularly those of us in the synagogue community feel ourselves to be extraordinarily vulnerable in these days. So from that very simple conversation to now, this legislation has made its way, and I am just thrilled because it will make all of us in our synagogues and churches, in our schools, wherever people of Nassau County gather for peaceful and important social and religious purposes, our umbrella of protection has been extended in very significant ways. So I thank once again the members of the legislature, and I really do want to express my deep appreciation to Steve Rhodes, who has made this a very personal cause in his own part, and who has seen this through to the legislation that will be presented and passed today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rabbi Klein. And now Carolyn Breivogel, principal of Wantagh High School.
Good afternoon, everyone. During my years as the principal of Wantagh High School, I never envisioned myself having to deal with the increased security concerns that have emerged. The epidemic of violence in schools throughout our nation escalates with each passing year. We therefore continuously find ourselves addressing ways to maintain safe and secure environment for our students and staff. As such, we express our appreciation to legislator Steve Rhodes and the legislation for securing state-of-the-art communication devices for our schools. These devices will strengthen our ability to communicate more quickly and effectively with emergency personnel, and in doing so, decrease the response time so critical and safety people can be dispatched for our children. Working together with our local government, we will continue to improve security in our schools as the safety of our children is our mutual priority. Thank you.
Now, the one who's really going to put this plan into place, our acting commissioner, Krumpter.
Thank you, Legislator Gonzalez. Let me start by thanking Legislator Gonzalez and the entire legislative body for advancing this along with the county executive. This legislation will allow us the ability to expand the school program to any critical infrastructure in Nassau County. And we'll be able to do so in a very cost-efficient, cost-effective manner. As we move forward now, the software interface is already being developed, and we expect to be able to roll out all of the panic alarms to all the organizations in the coming months. So with that, we will be looking at an announcement in the foreseeable future of exactly how we're going to be doing that within the next few weeks. And we are meeting with our computer-aided dispatch company to move that out. This is very important, and really I want to congratulate the legislators and the county executive, because this is really a model for the rest of the country. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know anybody else that's doing this, and what it allows is the expediting of response depending on how a call comes in of anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes by police. It'll really eliminate a lot of the call taking. So under normal circumstances right now, if there is a critical incident, there's an active shooter, they will call their alarm company, or they'll activate their alarms, and the alarm company will be notified, or they'll call 911. The alarm company, if they get the call, will filter that call, and they'll in turn call 911. 911 will then input a call into the system. All that takes anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. These panic alarms will eliminate that, and what will happen is the call will be automatically generated, and additional information will be provided through open mics to the call center, 911 call center. So we are talking significant increases, or actually more importantly, significant reductions in response time for any major police incident. So that's the way the system will work, without getting technical. And what we will be able to do is we'll be able to expedite the response. We've made a significant number of inroads as we move forward, and we will be announcing additional plans of deployment in the coming weeks.
Thank you very much, Acting Commissioner Krumpter. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the alternate Deputy Officer of the Legislature.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Good morning. If there's one thing that the incidents that we've all heard about around the world in the last weeks and months have taught us, it's that speed matters in responding to attacks, and that goes for whether they're lone wolf attacks or somebody who's just disturbed or organized attacks. The faster somebody responds, the more quickly someone gets there and deals with it, the more lives we're going to save. I'm very proud to be part of the Nassau County effort to speed up any process. Let's hope, obviously, we've got a great police force. Let's hope we don't have anything here. But if we should have anything here, it's wonderful that Nassau County is in the forefront of this country in responding to it and establishing a system where we feel confident that we're doing our best to protect our citizens when they congregate, whether it be in church or in malls or any other places of public assembly.
Thank you, Legislator Capel. And now, from the Village of Cedarhurst, Mayor Benjamin Wantagh.
Thank you, Presiding Officer Gonzalez. As a mayor of local government, I feel closest to the constituents. I feel very close to the people who live in our community. And at that level, I've witnessed a rise in anxiety and apprehension over the dangers of attack. Nobody is safe today. No institution is safe. And where lives hang in the balance and seconds make a difference, this system will save minutes, not seconds. This will allow emergency response to come faster for those unfortunate times when it's needed. And for that, I'm very appreciative both to the legislature and especially to our local legislator, Howard Coppell. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And now, Laura Karn, legislator for the Democratic minority.
Thank you. Too often we're stunned and horrified by the violence that can unfold in our schools and religious places throughout the nation. This legislation is one important step to prevent that from happening here in Nassau County. I want to thank Steve for getting this through so quickly, and I'm heartened that we can come together in a bipartisan manner to get this done for our children, for our families, and for all of our residents.
Thank you very much, Legislator Cohen. And now, if there are any questions from the people out there, yes?
How many additional alarms do you expect to distribute, and how much is that going to cost the county, and who's paying for it?
Okay, Michelle, here we go.
You know, we're building out an infrastructure already for the schools, so the increase in cost will not be borne by the taxpayers in Nassau County. There'll be no additional cost. We are adopting 2 technologies. We've already announced one. We'll be announcing a second technology very shortly as we finalize contracts. And so there'll be no additional cost to the county residents. We have not estimated how many additional alarms, and the reason we need that software interface is because there are going to be a significant increase out there. You know, it's critical infrastructure. What is critical infrastructure? Well, the critical infrastructure is obviously the religious institutions of Nassau County, the government buildings, other major places of gatherings such as the large malls, the Nassau Coliseum, some of the labs we have, Cold Spring Harbor Lab. Those will all be part of the critical infrastructure. The system and technologies we've adopted for the schools can support that without any additional cost.
It's not a secret that the department and the county has had difficulty in rolling this out to the school system, so why take on more?
Well, the problem we had all along has been an ongoing issue with one of our providers of software. That's been resolved, and we've come to terms with that vendor, and it's everybody's satisfied, and then now developing that interface, that integral piece to the entire system was that interface, and they are in the process of developing that interface at this time. And the time it takes to do that interface will be several weeks. It's not a long-term project. We have built these types of interfaces out in the past.
How do you select these businesses coming forward to the county? How are they chosen?
The Nassau County Police Department has initially put out a request for proposals. A vendor was selected at that point in time, but that technology is 2 years old. We will be using that technology. We have adopted that technology. And we've looked at a number of other technologies. The other vendor will be announced very shortly. And it'll be those two vendors that will adopt those two technologies and support those technologies. The schools will be provided that. It'll be incumbent upon the other critical infrastructure to pay for those devices or that technology. And we will be announcing the second technology very shortly.
I think the question was, which institutions, how do you decide which institution would be worthy of receiving alarm and which
The institution would have to apply for critical infrastructure status the way the legislation is structured. The department will look at that, taking into consideration what we know about active shooters, and will make a judgment based on the institution that actually applies for critical infrastructure status. Obviously, we can't roll this system out to every single enterprise in Nassau County, and it'll be those items that we've already designated as critical infrastructure. And we'll evaluate each case. It is voluntarily, it is at their discretion, and we'll be able to evaluate their applications.
and it's at no cost to business owner or institution?
The only cost would be for the cost to maintain the specific technology they adopt. There is going to be two different prices to maintain that technology. So yeah, the panic alarm technology is one, and then we're going to be announcing a second technology, and that cost will be based on the cost of those two items.
So the institutions have to pay, the schools don't?
That's correct.
Who makes the ultimate decision on those institutions? Is the police department?
The police department will be making that using objective criteria that, again, will be rolling out in the coming weeks.
Good. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.